Good morning, you peoples, you. So, our truth bomb for the day is love rewards the brave. But sometimes brave feels scary when you're doing it. Hey, did you know brave feels scary? You still feel scared to death. You just do it anyway. Good morning! Look at my lovely hair. I'm kind of a mess. I've been up for a while, but clearly I didn't take any time with my personal appearance. Who cares, right? Nobody gives a crap. So we are going to talk about the Big Magic Book. But first, I want to show you some things I was working on this morning about creativity and desire mapping, core desired feelings. I've really been struggling with coming up with some kind of visual chart or diagram. I'll do, don't I? Thank you. Thank you very much. So if you just came to hear the Big Magic Book, you may want to check out and come back 15 minutes later. Maybe 15, 20 minutes from now. Because it's going to be a few minutes before I get to that book. And it's super annoying when somebody puts something in your topic and you show up to hear that and then they're talking about something else. So I'm just warning you. I'm talking about something else. So go away and come back if you need to. But we've been talking so much about creativity and letting ourselves do that. I've missed you. You were in Florida? Well, I'm glad you're back. So we get told a lot, just do it. And then we get told, well, just pick a core desired feeling and everything will flow from there. But that's just the starting point. When you start doing it, all the stories about why you can't or shouldn't do it get kicked up. And then people quit. And I really feel like we've neglected that part of the process. Like it's not just do it and then it gets done. You just do it and then there's all this crappy work to do and then it gets done. There's the in between. The middle of the story can get boring, right? We like to skip to the end. But without the middle of the story, you don't get to the end. So this morning, I put a couple of videos, one on Facebook and 2 on Instagram, because I had to do this dodging a cat butt the whole time. He likes to nibble on my pencils. Look at this. You see that? What a jerk. We don't call him Tonka, the naughtiest cat in the world, for nothing. So anyway, here's what I came up with. And they're in development, so I know he's horrible. He's a horrible cat. So the way we typically do things is this. He is so cute, which is why he's still alive and still getting fed. Not kicked out on the street. So here's how we normally do things. And these are totally rough, guys, okay? I just whipped these up in the last hour and a half. Typically, we make a decision we're going to do something, okay? It's a conscious decision. Follow along with me. I know it's early for this kind of thinking. We make a decision that we're going to put an offering out in the world, whatever that offering is. So I'm watching somebody do this right now, and I know that I've done it myself. So we make a decision that we're going to put an offering out in the world. And this is really harder than I thought to explain. Seeing it right here. I need a whiteboard. I actually need you all here in my living room with tea and coffee and breakfast snacks so that we can talk better. We have these beliefs running, okay? The decision we make is conscious. I have this thing, and I'm going to put this thing out in the world. Then we have unconscious. Okay, right, cool. We have unconscious things going on, all right? We have stories that are being activated, generally speaking, on an unconscious level. If we're lucky and our story says our offering is good enough, We take inspired, effective actions that leads us to the outcome that we want. However, most of us are on this side of the page right here, where we have a story that says our shit ain't no good. Our shit is not good. Our thing is shit. It's not good enough. But it's unconscious, so we're not hearing it. Then our actions are ineffective, and they're forced, and they're taskless, and we hate them usually, and we get these distorted, crappy outcomes, and then we're like, what happened? I had this thing. I want to put it out in the world. It's not going anywhere. The reason it's not going anywhere is because your actions suck. And your actions suck because they have to match this belief. Your belief always matches your outcome. Your outcome always matches your belief. Always, always, always. So you have a belief. You have another decision right here that says your stuff isn't good enough. At some point you made a decision that your offering is crap. Therefore, your outcome has to match this decision. Your outcome has to match your belief. That's law of attraction. It has to match it. There's no way around it. Your actions suck ass. Your actions are terrible. So what I'm seeing is a person I know has made a decision, and it's not me. I'm not being like, I have a friend who, although I have done this plenty. I've done it plenty, which is how I know what this person is doing, because I see it playing out on Facebook right now and across other social media platforms. So this person has an offering, which is excellent. But you can see their story that it's not good enough playing out because the actions they're taking are really ineffective. And that person is totally blocked to any information about this. So people have tried to give input that, hey, this isn't working. And it's probably because of this. And that person is like, I don't want to see you. I don't want to hear you. I don't want to talk to you because you're fucking with my story. I'm kind of mouthy today. I woke up with profanity in my head. What's that about? Who cares? Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. Okay, so there's a couple of things. I'm so not. I'm not talking about anyone on this scope. I'm actually talking about a person who never comes to my scope. So, you guys, hi Erin, don't you know that I would tell you if I saw you doing something that was interfering with where you wanted to go? Hi Nina. I would say, Sarah, your actions suck. I'll go over it real quick. Good morning. Hi, Carrie. Oh, I totally will tell you. So we're yes, I'm mouthy. You would know. So let me just recap this really quick, and then I want to show you this other chart. I'm not talking about anyone on this scope, but someone who will see the scope knows the person I'm talking about, and I just don't want to ever use names unless I know that you can handle it. If I know someone can, I have offered input. And that's how I know this person is like, I don't want it. I don't want to see you. I don't want to hear your input. I don't want to talk about your input. Okay, so just real quick for the people who just hopped on, we're talking about how creativity works and the missing piece between making a decision and your outcome. You make a decision, you're going to put your offering in the world. If you have an unconscious belief that says your offering is good enough, if your story says, my offering is good enough, exactly, then your actions are going to be effective and they're going to be inspired and you're going to achieve the outcome that you want. However, most of us are here where our story says our stuff is crap and it's not good enough, then the actions we take are going to reflect this story, this unconscious belief, and the outcome is going to match the story. The outcome has to match the story. That's law of attraction in action, if you want to talk about like the true law of attraction, where What we're putting out is what we get, and there's no way around that. My story is the driving force, and my story will shortcut any actions I take, even if they technically would be effective for somebody else. Actually, even if they're the same actions, like visually looking at it, like posting on Facebook, I'm going to make sure that my posts on Facebook are distorted just enough, missing just enough information, that I make sure that this over here doesn't happen. I have to make sure that my outcome matches my story. We will always do that. If I have a story that I can't find someone to love me, and I'm convinced of that, then my efforts and my actions in the world to find someone, I know, right? All before 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm on a roll. I have to make sure that my actions and fulfill the outcome that matches my story. Okay, is this making sense? This is why if we have this story that we're not good enough and our offerings in the world are garbage, it doesn't really matter what goes on right here, because we're going to make sure that this outcome matches our belief that our stuff isn't good enough. And so if you switch this from a product to finding love or dating or, finding a partner for life, if my story is maybe about 10 minutes, maybe a little somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes, but I'm repeating myself a lot. So change this offering of a product to finding a spouse. And if my story over here is, yeah, I'm the shit, I got stuff to offer, oh, no problem, then my actions are going to be way different, and I'm going to find a partner and a spouse. So over here, though, if my story is, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy of love, I don't have anything to offer, if my story is, everyone always hurts me, or everyone always leaves me, or whatever the millions of stories are that we tell ourselves about relationships, then my actions are going to be terrible. So what that looks like is falling in love with the wrong people. Making sure that you only fall in love with unavailable people. Making sure that you only fall in love with people who absolutely cannot love you back. Which means my outcome is going to match my story. And in between here, I'm going to be really confused why I can't find a spouse or a boyfriend or a girlfriend or whatever you're into. Okay? So your point, you can go both directions with this outcome. And that's what I want to talk about now. Are you following? You got me? Outcome always matches story. Always, 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 always. If your outcomes are not what you want them to be, then you've got a story running, and that's where your point of power is figuring out what that is. And that's where core desired feelings come in. That's where desire map processes can help you figure out your story. Although it's not really talked about explicitly in her book, it is what she's trying to achieve in making you express the negative and own your negatives. It's just not spelled out this way, which kind of bothers me, because then in my desire map workshops, I'm having people choose these core desired feelings, and I'm constantly having to say, you're going to choose these feelings, and then all this shit's going to happen. So it's good. It's bringing up your story so you can see them. It lets you know why your outcomes have been unsuccessful. Have you guys ever had the misfortune of working in a place that forced you to measure outcomes? Oh my God, this is the most tedious, horrible process in the world. But it is really effective. Yes, it stirs up a lot of crap. And I feel like we're doing a disservice to you and other people. It's not really magic. Yeah, it looks like, oh my God, this is magical. It's not really magical. It's processes we're not aware of, so we think it's magical. Just like kids are looking at a light bulb, somebody comes in the room and flips the light switch. Little kids are like, oh, my looking at the light bulb made the light come on. Well, that's not true at all. Somebody come into the room, flip the lights on, dumb kid. It's that. These processes are happening and we're not aware of them. Somebody wrote a book. There's a book out there somewhere that talks about the theory that, good morning, our intuition is not coming out of nowhere. Bye! It's actually our mind and our eyes and our senses and our bodies processing information so fast that we aren't able to break down that process. So we get a flash of insight that's actually based on putting a lot of pieces of information together that burst into a flash of insight or intuition. It's not actually coming out of nowhere, but we don't understand the process enough to see it in action until you work with it a long time. So here's how the core desired feeling desire map thing works in conjunction with this creativity stuff we're talking about. Conscious. On this chart, it's conscious decision. So we make a conscious decision that we want to put our offering in the world. You guys can screenshot that if you want it. It's real sloppy and definitely not fully formed. This is really rough, scribbly stuff. So we make a conscious decision we're going to put our offering in the world, and then we have unconscious stories running the show. If it's a good story, our actions are effective and we get the outcome we want. If it's a crappy story, our actions are ineffective and we never get the outcome we want. And then we're left wondering why. This is why. Ooh, a screenshot. Did you get it? I'm trying to get it formulated, Tanya. I'm trying so hard. Okay. Yeah, Erin, whenever you see something on the screen you want to keep, just screenshot it. So, if you're doing desire mapping, if you're doing core desired feeling work, oh, thanks. I've been really trying to figure out how to make this stuff more visual. Core desired feeling is not a new concept either. Some people call it the feeling place. Some people call it find the feeling tone of what you're after. Here's how that works. So then you make a decision. You set a goal. Same thing. This is conscious. I want to find creative work decision. So we'll use work as this example. Or it can be anything. It can be finding love is a creative decision. Making a product and putting it out in the world is a decision. So, for example, let me talk about this and I'll tell you how this all started this morning. And we will get to the book. Again, if you just showed up to hear the book, you may want to come back in a few minutes because I'm not going to get to it yet. And you can screenshot this too and I'll explain it to you. Because this is how it works. It's important. This is important. You is smart. You is something. You is important. What is that from the help? You is smart. You is something. You is kind. You is important. You is important. You is kind. Okay, so then, same process, okay? You make a decision. Oh, good. You make a decision, a conscious, you're setting a goal or a target or whatever you want to call it. So let's just use finding a new job as an example because this is good. If you want to find your dream job and you have an unconscious story running, then you'll make sure that you don't apply to the places that will bring you that outcome, okay? Because outcome always matches story. You make a decision, I want to find a new job. I want my dream job. And then you do desire mapping and you figure out, okay, what does my dream job feel like? If I'm working at my dream job, how do I feel when I wake up in the morning? How do I feel when I'm driving to work? How do I feel at work? How do I feel after work? And you narrow that down to usually, you will only find the same old jobs if you're not clear on what your stories are about work. Yes, that's true. That's why you leave one job, and darned if your new boss isn't exactly the same as your old boss. They're just wearing a different face. Okay? It's because your story's still in place. And you're going to make sure that you don't find the right boss or a different boss, because your outcome has to match your story. Has to. Core desired feeling, I'm going to find my dream job. And so let's say my core desired feeling about that is inspired. So I want to feel inspired by my work. And so my dream job has to match this feeling of inspired. So you don't worry about what unconscious beliefs are running in your head, because they're unconscious. You're not going to see them until you take an action. So I take an action. I want to feel inspired. I'm sitting at my computer. I'm looking for a new job. I do whatever it takes to feel inspired. And then I open monster.com, or I get on LinkedIn, or however I look for work. Then I take an action. Then I have a reaction. So if I take an action, I start applying for jobs, and I'm not getting interviews, or I'm getting interviews and I'm bombing them, or even worse, I'm getting interviewed, taking a job, and finding out I'm in the same GD job I just left. I have to evaluate my outcome to know if I've got a story running or not. Okay, so I evaluate my outcome. So this is all kind of happening at the same time, which makes it so difficult for me to visually explain it. So I'm really struggling. I just did this before I logged on. So if you see spots where I can make this more clear, please email me, because this is very, very rough. So you're constantly taking actions, you're getting your reactions / outcome, and you're evaluating. Did my reaction and outcome match my core desired feeling? Did this new job match inspired? Did this interview match inspired? No? Stop. You got a story running. Yes? Keep going. Take another action. Then you take another action, you evaluate the outcome. Actually, this should probably be side by side. You evaluate the outcome. If it's still in line with your inspired core desired feeling, you keep going. You're going to know you're going to know that you have a story running if your outcome continues to be off, not what you want. So say you land a job and it's a little better than the last one. And you know this by evaluating your outcome, the outcome of your actions. Oh dear. Well, that's good. You've got to be able to hear your story before you can rewrite it, before you can write a new one. Okay, so it doesn't match my core desired feeling. This new job doesn't match inspired. It's a little closer, but it still doesn't match it. So I'm not going to take any actions. Now you can shit it down. It's true. Now you can stop the shit. That was a Freudian text. Shut. I meant shut, damn it. I meant shut. Okay, so if my outcome does not, so if I evaluate my outcome, I ask, does it match my core desired feeling? And I have to say, no, it fucking does not. I know, right? It never works the way you want it to. Then I'm going to stop. If I'm working this process and I'm trying to get conscious about what's going on in me, I'm going to stop and I'm not going to take any actions until I figure out what's going on with this story. Okay? I get an outcome. I ask myself, does this outcome match my core desired feeling? No, it doesn't. Stop yourself. Do not take any more actions until you figure out what this story is. And you know what the story is based on the reactions to your actions. Okay? This looks like people treating you in the way that you believe you deserve to be treated. Okay? This looks like a boss who micromanages you till you feel like you want to kill yourself, or him or her. Okay? That means I believe I have a story running that says you don't deserve to be creative, or you don't deserve to feel inspired. I made a decision, a different kind of decision somewhere in my lifetime that said you cannot, you're not allowed to, you don't deserve to, you shouldn't. All those things are driving these ineffective actions. All those stories are driving these ineffective actions that make sure that my outcome matches my dysfunctional belief. If I believe I deserve to be abused, I'm always going to land with an abusive partner. If I believe that I deserve to be abused, I'm always going to land an abusive boss. And I don't mean abusive, well, I don't want to go there. Let's say verbally abusive. It's a little safer for a Periscope discussion. If I have a belief that says I deserve to be talked to like I'm a piece of crap, I'm always going to have this outcome where someone's talking to me like I'm a piece of crap. Someone's talking to me in a disrespectful manner because my outcome has to match my belief. So I won't even get near a person who will talk to me and treat me with respect because it wouldn't match my story. Okay, that's law of attraction stuff. If it doesn't match my story, I don't even see it. If it doesn't match my story, I won't hear it. I won't find it because my eyes will be closed. Remember the banana story? So for those of you who don't know, I have twin granddaughters. I only have experience for crap industries. Boring jobs are the only ones that will hire me. So underneath that story, somewhere you made a decision that you can't have what you want, or that you don't deserve the best, or that your creative offering for this lifetime is not allowed, or it's not good enough. I mean, there's a million things it can be, right? But it's generally that I'm not allowed to, or I don't deserve to do the thing I want to do. So you'll continue landing jobs that don't let you do what you want to do, what your secret dream is, because you believe you can't, or you're not allowed to, or you don't deserve to. It's usually something around that theme. The words may be different, and the experiences that support the words may be different, but the theme is usually I'm not allowed to, or I don't deserve to. Okay? Does that make sense to you? So it's a very good idea, if you know you've got a story running, not to look for a job. Okay, so what you do after you identify the story is you keep sitting with this core desired feeling. Okay, so what happens is you identify your story like, oh, I have a story that I'm not allowed to have the job I want. I have a story that I don't deserve to be in a good environment. So then I go back to, so then there's a grief usually. So when you identify the story, you generally have some grief and loss to deal with. You might have some anger. You may remember the particulars of how you developed that story to begin with. Like you may remember that a teacher told you in such a way, or an incident happened with a high amount of emotion when you were younger and impressed on you that, Susan, you don't deserve this, so you're never going to have it. So make sure that you don't ever have it by always applying to the wrong jobs. Okay? There's generally a lot of tears when you identify the story. There's a lot of anger sometimes when you identify your story, when you figure out what it is. But And you can use Byron Katie's tools to work through it. You can tell yourself the truth that your story it's really just a story. And the good news is, if it's your own story and your own belief systems, you have all the power to change them. It takes some time and some effort. It's not easy, but you have the chance, now that you can hear your story, to process through the emotions of it and write a new one. Writing a new one looks like continually coming back to this anchor. And it doesn't matter a whole lot where it comes from. So we can get caught up in we can get caught up in the details of trying to figure out how our story got developed. That doesn't matter so much, is just feeling the pain of knowing that you've been running a story that's been keeping you from where you want to go. If it's important for you to remember the particular details, you'll remember them. Some people go to therapy for way too long because they're trying to figure out, well, why? You don't really need to know why. If you need to know why, you'll know. Okay, this is where you have to have some faith and some trust in the process. Yeah. So you can even say to yourself, if I need to know why this is the way it is, I'm open. Bring it forward in my consciousness so that I can see it. Otherwise, don't worry too much about it. Just keep going back. This is your anchor place, okay? This cortisol feeling becomes your anchor. I actually really prefer to call it an anchor, because while all this process is happening, yes, of course I will. While all this process is going on, your cortisol feeling is your anchor. Before you take an action, you ask, is this action in alignment with my cortisol feeling of inspired? When I think about taking a job offer, is that job offer in alignment with my cortisol feeling of inspired or not? If it's not, don't even waste your time. Don't even bother. Keep looking. If you think about taking this job and you feel that inspiration, that is your anchoring feeling, take that job. Drop everything and take that job. Okay? But you don't take an action unless it matches this. So this is how, when desire mapping says it reverses goal setting, this is how. You make a decision, you define what you want to feel, and that what you want to feel becomes your anchor and your set point, your baseline. You don't do anything that takes you away from this. And that's the question you ask. Is this action, eating the donut, is eating the donut going to take me toward my feeling of alive, or is it going to take me away from my feeling of alive? And my cortisol feeling for my life right now is alive. Not me personally, I'm speaking globally. If my cortisol feeling is alive, is taking that job at McDonald's going to make me feel more or less alive? Is eating that donut going to make me feel more or less alive? If it's going to make me feel less alive, I don't do it. And I work with whatever feelings that generates of not doing it, because the discomfort of not doing it is going to generate agitation, which is going to let me know I've got a story running. I realize this is kind of complicated. Are you tracking? Are you with me? Do I have you here? You guys getting it? Awesome sauce. And I just wanted to address that. Sometimes when you are in this process, well, and that's what Catherine means. So sometimes you're aware that you're in this process of taking actions, getting outcomes, and evaluating what's going on. You've got a train running down the tracks already, okay? So you've been running storylines. that play out in actions out here. That is this train going down the tracks that has momentum. Okay, you don't stop a train like that. Sometimes the momentum that these stories have created in your life are going so fast, it takes some time for that to slow down and stop. In the meantime, that might look like having to take a job at Walmart to get the bills paid and keep food on the table while you continue strengthening your core-desired feeling, looking around you at Walmart and seeing how you're treated so you know what stories are running in your head. That's when you really have to start using your environment as a reflector, as a mirror. We don't know what our stories are. If we knew, we wouldn't be doing it. Our only source of information about what our stories are, what our shadow is, comes from my interaction with you. It comes from my interaction with my boss. Tanya, thank you! CaddyshackDesigns.com. I haven't even said my name. My name is Michelle Wolf, and even if you're in a job you don't like, you learn from it if you start using your environment as your mirror. And, hold on. I did this on purpose. This is Michelle Wolf. This is your 30-second commercial break. This information is brought to you by CaddyshackDesigns.com, owned by Michelle Wolf. You can go to the website, CaddyshackDesigns.com, and find out more information about what Michelle Wolf does. If you would like to know the upcoming event schedule, you may visit tinyurl.com/wolf events. Ding! I need the little sparkle. Ping! tinyurl.com wolf events. If you want more information. Okay, so you don't take action if you can. So if you're in a job that you hate, you don't leave it until you're clear on where you want to go and why you might not be there already. Okay? If you have to take an action because you've got to feed your family, take whatever damn job you can find, even if that's a job at Walmart. You got to do what you got to do. And you keep going. Actually, having to take a job at Walmart with conscious awareness, you're going to use your coworkers. You're going to use them. You're going to use your coworkers and your bosses and your customers as a mirror to let you know where you're at in the universe in this process of deconstructing your story. You can learn a lot, and you won't be at Walmart for long unless it turns out you really enjoy it. Obviously, some people love working at Walmart because they go and they stay there forever. Or they never understand that there's nothing wrong with working at Walmart if that's what you want. You still have to do what you got to do. So this process is slowing the momentum of that train so that you can switch it to another track. Have you ever lived around trains or railroads? A train doesn't switch to another track at 100 miles an hour. It slows down and comes almost to a stop, sometimes to a stop, and then the train, maybe it actually comes to a stop, and then the tracks connect, and it switches over to the other track, and it will switch because the controller person, your core desired feeling, is the controller person. It's put the new track in place. It has to slow this train down, and then it switches to the new track. Then you're not working at Walmart anymore, if that's not what you want, or if that's not what you enjoy. I don't want to make it sound like working at Walmart is bad, because it's not. Okay? That's a lot. I just pounded you with a lot of information. I really feel compelled, like it's becoming my personal mission to try and counteract all the advertisements out there and these theories that say all you got to do is change your mind. All you got to do is change your belief. That's not fucking true. It's true and it's not true. It's true and there's there's all this stuff that has to be done, and it takes courage to do it. And if you're doing it, God bless your heart, because it takes so much courage to face this stuff, to make yourself conscious, to make yourself stay awake in your life is hard. And it takes guts, and it takes a courage to feel the stuff that's gone unfelt, that is keeping you from being where you are fully authentic in your life. Yeah, and I don't feel like we as a personal development coaching therapist culture, oh God, I don't think we're doing a good job of warning people. Tanya's husband, Ben, took my Desire Map workshop for men, which you can find at tinyurl.com/Wolf Den Events. And he said my workshop should come with a disclaimer. And I feel like I give people disclaimers, but they don't hear it. And then when it's happening, they're like, oh shit, this is hard. And I'm like, I told you it was going to be hard. I told you it was going to hurt and it was really going to suck. But hey, you just paid me a big chunk of money, so guess what? You're stuck. Yeah, I tell you, but you guys have no idea. Because there's no way for me to forewarn you. And I'm talking about how I run my workshops. Anybody on the planet can buy a Desire Map. The disclaimer is, you are taking the lid off a pot of stew and it's going to blow up. Yeah. My disclaimer is, you're starting a process that's going to take you into the wilderness, and shit may hit the fan. And you've got to keep going. Or you shut down. Some people take my workshops and they shut down. It's too much. And there's no judgment there. Because later will be time. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy if you don't do the work. If you start a Desire Map process, yeah, there's no judgment there. Everyone comes to this work at different points in their life. And I shut this process down for years. I would start it, it would work like crazy magic, and then things would get hard. My outcomes didn't match what I was going for, and I just came to a screeching halt and I stopped. Okay, so this is all happening. Oh, this is hard because this is all happening. It's all circular. It's all happening at the same time. Choosing a core desired feeling of inspired shakes all this stuff up. Yeah, my mom had to take the workshop twice. She had to take it twice. And some people do take it twice. If you want to take it twice, talk to me. We'll work out some kind of discount. Okay, this is all happening at the same time. It's confusing. Please don't feel bad if you get confused. Here's where this all started this morning. So in the mornings, if I wake up in time, I do an exercise called the morning pages. You may have heard of it. It's from Julia Cameron, and you get up, and as soon as you possibly can, like you don't mess around too long, you sit down and write. Yeah, Catherine. Oh, yeah, Catherine, and then Catherine's taking level 2 right now. The level 2 goes more into this. You want to draw it out from my specific decision? Yes. Yeah, it's really helpful. The key point is, how do you want to feel? And matching the other stuff around it. So this came from... For a long time, I couldn't figure out, okay, so here's where this came from, and so you can see how this works in my life. Yay! Oh, yeah, so the morning pages, you get up and you write 2 or 3 pages of just stream of consciousness. Sometimes those stream of consciousness pages are all whiny, self-pity stuff, but then sometimes cool stuff happens, so it's important to show up and do them, but there's not always anything like massively productive that come out of them other than just putting all the garbage in your head on paper and getting rid of it. Giving it a place to go. We don't get rid of it. So, somebody in the Desire Map Facilitators workshop asked, how do you fill your workshops? And I was like, I was never able to fill an in-person workshop. I just couldn't. I advertised it. I told people about it. Couldn't get any interest. Never got one person to sign up for an in-person workshop. I found out about an option for virtual workshops at the same time of the in-person workshops, but I had a belief that I couldn't manage the technology. So what that looked like is I just ignored it. I didn't explore it. Then my workshops didn't fill. Then I was forced to try the virtual, and it worked. All that came from a decision I made that I wanted to work from home. If you make a hardcore decision that you want to work from home and you spend a large portion of your day feeling the core desired feeling of working at home, then you're not going to fill out of the home workshops. Duh! You're going to have to fill virtual workshops because, smartass, you made a decision that you wanted to work from home. Holding workshops out in the world doesn't match working from home. So I was like, oh yeah, I made that decision. I want to work from home. So things that didn't match my feeling of working from home didn't work. I got blocked. My actions on paper were exactly what I was supposed to do, but no one ever heard me. No one ever heard me. Not one person. And I had a venue, I had plans, I had all kinds of stuff. It never worked. Yeah. So that's how you work this process in reverse. Yeah. So if you look at so this is the last part of this whole long lecture that you guys are getting. And if you're still here, good for you. You can work this process in reverse by looking at your current outcomes, just like Susan just said. Maybe that's not why I'm getting what I wanted. Look at what's going on in your life. I keep applying for jobs that I think are my dream jobs that match my feeling of inspired, but I'm not getting them. So my outcome is I don't have what I want. Somewhere back, trace your outcomes back and ask yourself this question. What about this outcome would match a decision I made somewhere? Yeah, or you're just not finding them. You're applying and you're not getting interviews. So ask yourself, what decision would I have had to make to keep producing this outcome, which is not what I want? What decision, what did I say to myself? Where in time did I pick up some kind of belief that would always produce this outcome? And then look at the themes of your outcomes, because chances are it's loud in one area of your life, but it's probably playing out across all areas of your life in different forms. You're looking for the theme, the pattern, the theme. When you find the pattern, when you find the consistent theme, then you know what story is running your whole entire life. And now you're in the power place and you can do something with that. Until you figure out what those decisions were based on the story that you've developed, you can't do anything with it because you can't see it. So you ask yourself that question. What decision would I have had to make to keep producing this outcome of not getting what I want? Did I make a decision I don't deserve what I want? Did I make a decision I'm not allowed to create? Did some stupid art teacher in 3rd grade tell me that my creations were terrible? And so I decided, oh God, my creations are terrible. But my sole purpose is to create. So I keep feeling this compulsion to create and it's not going anywhere. Okay? Lots of parts and pieces that fit together. It's simple, but it's not simple. Yeah, that's true, Tanya. Good point. My workshops are like this. Yeah, I think so. But tailored to your particular story. So then we look at what is your story. Yeah, figuring out the story is like a detective process. You got to ask yourself a lot of questions. What decision did I make somewhere in my life to make sure that I don't get the job I want? What decision did I make in my life to make damn sure that I don't get the relationship I want? What decision, or decisions really, what stories would I have to have written earlier in my life to make sure that I stay poor or struggle with poverty? Okay? Because my outcome's going to match the decisions I made. My outcome's always going to match my story. So if I can't figure out what my story is, I need only look at my environment and start asking those questions. What decision would I have to have made to produce this outcome? So if I have a decision that I have to be poor because of all the consequences that come with not being poor, then I can find what my story is. I have to be poor. Therefore, I make stupid decisions, or people take advantage of me, or I can't ever find the job that will lead me to the income, or, it's a multitude of things. But that's the process of figuring it out. What other questions do you have? It's kind of a big one. Someone told me that, they pointed out my pattern of picking unavailable men. Finding men that I liked but didn't like me back. Or were unavailable. Like, because they were gay. Or, emotional cripples. And, they couldn't do it. Be in a relationship. And those are the only ones that were interesting to me. So a really good therapist and a really good friend helped me figure out that I wasn't seeing the men who were emotionally available were not attractive to me. Oh, good. Ta-da! Success. The men who could be what I really wanted were invisible. If they showed up, I was like, ew, you're icky. I don't like you because you don't match my story. You're not going to help me create this outcome of I don't deserve love, or I forget, there's like, actually what it was is not really believing I was capable of that level of intimacy. And it's actually something I'm still working on with my husband. Yes, it's easier for people outside of you to see your story. If you get to a good therapist that understands this process, yes. That's how psychics can manipulate people. Is when you work with people long enough, you can really quickly see what storylines are driving their behaviors and why they're not getting what they want. If you work with people or you study Shakespeare, you can pick it up pretty quick, like why things are happening. Psychics manipulate people that way. They tell you these things. I'm not saying that people aren't psychic. I definitely pick up intuitions. I pick up information about people. I've only just recently owned that. I hear things as information and I pass it on to people. But I'm not saying that that's me with some magical power. I'm saying I just happen to have a radio that's tuned sometimes to information that's ready to come to a person, and it can come through me, and I'm willing to allow that. Again, it's not magic. I think we're all connected, and if we become aware and conscious of that connection, we can give each other information. Magic, but not magic. Good Lord, are you exhausted? Or you're like, holy shit. The unconscious concept of rejecting what doesn't fit your old story is fascinating. Yes. Yes, psychics like the TV show kind, Sylvia Brown. Oh, good. You are, Susan. You totally are. You've been in the process of slowing the momentum of your train. You have been doing that since you showed up and started asking these questions months ago. And now you say, this morning I hear my story. That's massive freaking progress. Oh, I hear my story. Early morning deep shit. Yeah, we all remember when Susan came in. She didn't know. You have to. You don't have any other choice. If you are really, here's extra credit, okay? If you really want, like, to figure out your story, do an interview of your friends and family. Like, I have this recurring pattern and I don't know what I'm doing. And I feel like my actions must be creating this recurrent process. Can you help me out and tell me, in a nice way, tell me what you see me doing over and over again? The person that I started this example with is not open to that feedback. So people have offered to give her or him input. Like, you're doing this thing that lets me know you've got a story that says your work isn't good enough because you're doing these actions and they're making sure that no one sees your work, first of all, so no one can buy your work. Because you're making damn sure the way you're taking actions keeps your work hidden. So it's really clear. It's very easy to see this person has a story that their work's not good enough. So they're going to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere. Because if it went somewhere, it wouldn't match their story. Story always has to match outcome. They're not ready to change it. And that's okay. So the people around them can say, hey, if you did this a little bit differently, you may have better results. And they're that, I'm not going to see you, I'm not going to hear you, I'm not going to talk about this. So, story matches outcome. Law of attraction. Action equals reaction. It can't be any other way. Until you are willing to hear your story, or until you reach a point in your life where you start asking the questions, what the fuck is going on? Why does this keep happening to me? That's generally what happens, right? It happens the 100 zillionth time, and you're like, why does this keep happening to me? And that question swings open a door that can start a whole lot of magical processes. So we actually came to talk about this, but this triggered all of that. My desire to make information accessible to everyone drives these processes for me. You remember thinking, maybe it's me. I love to say to people who, in therapy, I wasn't a very good therapist. It's actually okay that I'm not one anymore. And I would never choose to be one anymore because I'm too directive in therapy because I get frustrated. When I hear someone saying the same story, I went to this job and this happened to me, and then I'm in this relationship and this happened to me. And my boss treats me like this, and my partner treats me like this, and the grocery store clerk treats me like this, and it's all the same. I have a tendency to say, you're the common denominator. You are the consistent factor X in every situation that you keep describing to me week after week after week. Yeah, everyone treats me like shit. Well, because you've got a story that says you deserve to be treated like shit. So can we talk about that? And I don't say it that way, of course. And some people say, yeah, I'm ready to talk about that. I'm ready to figure out why I'm the common denominator in all my frickin' problems. And then other people don't come back. And it's okay. It's all readiness. You cannot create change until you're ready to create change. That's why I tell you all the time, don't try to change people. You're wasting your time. You are getting it out because you can hear it. So then you process the feelings, and then you take a look at, with compassionate eyes and ears and heart, why did I make that decision? Who told me that this had to be this way? Right. That lady be cray. She said this shit about me. That's how it works, though. So I'll show you these charts one more time. You can screenshot them if you like. They may or may not make sense. You may have to listen to the replay again. And this one's all scribbly and they're rough, but you can have them. That's how we're usually doing it. And this is how it's working with the cortisard feeling. And you can watch the replay if you're just joining, because these charts won't make sense without the explanation. Because this is all just Michelle Wolf scribbling stuff right here. Oh, and I just rattled it while you were trying to screenshot it. I'm sorry. Alrighty. Let's talk about big magic for a few minutes before my steam runs out. Angela, did you hear any of that? If you didn't, you would pick it up real quick. You might enjoy the screenplay. The replay. The replay. Play. No. That was the reflex. The reflex. Flex. Oh, that's not nice. Whose husband wasn't kind? I didn't see the person. Oh, yeah, the book. Oh, yeah, the book we're supposed to talk about. When one of these books runs out, I'm going to move you to this book because this book talks about some more techniques and processes. So this will be our upcoming book. You don't have to go buy it. It's hard to understand, so I'm going to do translation for you. So don't worry about buying it, but this is what we'll be moving on to. You can look up Dr. Mario Martinez on YouTube. Yeah, it's a good book. And listen to his talks. It's kind of the science behind some of this stuff. It's super awesome. Betty. Well, here's the thing. When we do, like I said, interview your friends and family, please understand that they're not going to have the communication skills of a therapist or a social worker or somebody who's been trained to deliver information nicely. They're going to say, well, you keep doing X, Y, Z, so what the hell do you expect? They're not going to say, have you considered that you might have a pattern of behavior that looks like... We get a lot of training in how to give it to you kindly. How to be gentle with you. Your friends and family aren't going to do that. They're like, hey, dummy, quit doing this and you'll quit getting that. Duh. So don't worry, your friends and family just don't have the words. So if you feel like your ego can handle it, ask your friends and family what patterns they see in you. If you feel like you need a softer delivery, get yourself a good therapist. And if you need a referral for a therapist in your area, let me know. I'll see if I can help you out. Or, yeah, even better, take the information and do a worksheet. Oh, yeah. Yes, you can look at your mom and see your patterns. You can look at your dad and you'll know where your patterns came from. And then you can work with your stories. You can look at your teachers. It's terrifying, Julia. Of course, it's terrifying. Okay. On to our book real quick. I feel like I've been talking forever. Oh, God, those worksheets. Please go to thework.com or Google Judge Your Neighbor worksheet and get yourself some Byron Katie worksheets and do them. If you feel confused about the process, access the YouTube, put in Byron Katie and watch her doing worksheets with people. It is fascinating. Susan, that's really the best way at your stage of personal development to grab a hold of those stories and pick them apart. YouTube, Byron Katie, Judge Your Neighbor worksheets. Okay, let's have an affair. It says have an affair, okay? I'm not making that up. And please don't go have affairs in your relationships. If you feel like you need to have an affair, just go ahead and get a divorce. And if you do, forgive yourself and move on and put yourself back together. It's not the end of the world. It's just kind of the end of the world. It's the end of the world as you know it. REM. Why do people persist in creating even when it's difficult and inconvenient and often financially unrewarding? They persist because they are in love. They persist because they are hot for their vocation. Love REM. Total, I probably have like most, if not all, of their creations. Let me explain what I mean by hot. You know how people who are, oh, this is such a good chapter and it's short. It's only one page and I'm going to stop there. So let me start over. Why do people persist in creating even when it's so hard? We'll paraphrase. They persist because they're in love. They persist because they're hot for their vocation. And let me explain what I mean by hot. You know how people who are having extramarital affairs always seem to manage to find time to see each other in order to have wild, transgressive sex? You can substitute the word affair with addictions, because addictions and affairs are really not that much different. It doesn't seem to matter if those people have full-time jobs and families at home to support. They still somehow always manage to find time to sneak off and see their lover, no matter what the difficulties, risks, or costs. Even if they get only 15 minutes together in a stairwell, they will take that time and they will make out with each other like crazy. If anything, the fact that they only have 15 minutes somehow makes it even hotter. When people are having an affair, they don't mind losing sleep or missing meals. They will make whatever sacrifices they have to make, and they will blast through any obstacles in order to be alone with the object of their devotion and obsession, because it matters to them. Let yourself fall in love with your creativity like that and see what happens. Let yourself fall in love with the idea that you can have abundance with that attitude. Because let me tell you, a heroin addict will find the money for the next bump. A crackhead will find the money for the next 8-ball. They will find it. They will move heaven and earth to get the money, to get the drug. If you approach achieving something with that same, let's try to find love, but with that same passion, with that same mindset that there ain't nothing getting in your way. Dedication, absolute determination. So, like I said earlier, when I made that determination I wanted to work from home, it was a deep determination. I was like, you know what? I am done with cubicle land. I am done with shithead bosses. I am done with governmental garbage and politics. I was working in politics. I meant it. I was serious, which meant that my out of the house Desire Map workshops could not fill up, because I made such a hardcore decision that I was going to do my work from home. You see how that happens? Do you feel the non-negotiable when I say I determined I was going to work from home? I determined it. It was non-negotiable. If you don't have that non-negotiable feeling, you're going to get your halfway results, which is fine. It's fine. It's all progress. When you make the determination that no one is going to talk shit to you ever again, it will stop to happen. Your train has to slow down first before it can switch the track, but it will get less and it will get less and it will get less. Yeah. Your train is slowing down, Susan. You've been slowing your train down for a while. So you're like right on the edge there of finding these stories and unraveling them. And then your forward momentum can be pretty quick once you click into that place. Yes, you are. Let yourself fall in love with your ex, whatever your ex is. Fall in love with it like that, with that much passion, with that much non-negotiable energy. Stop. Listen to this. Stop treating your creativity like it's a tired old unhappy marriage, a grind, a drag, and start regarding it with the fresh eyes of a passionate lover. Even if you only have 15 minutes a day in a stairwell alone with your creativity, take it. Go hide in that stairwell and make out with your art. You can get a lot of making out done in 15 minutes, as any furtive teenager can tell you. Sneak off and have an affair with your most creative self. Lie to everyone about where you're actually going on your lunch break. Pretend you're traveling on a business trip when secretly you're retreating in order to paint, write poetry, or to draw up the plans of your future organic mushroom farm. Okay, right? Because people will lie their asses off if they need to go shoot some heroin. So lie. I'm gonna go to El Chico for lunch, and then run home and paint, or run down to the park and color, or meditate, or take a walk in peace and quiet without any of your bitchy coworkers with you, or call in sick and do some worksheets. I hope that's true. I hope you actually did that because I love it. I have called in sick to stay home and journal and do worksheets. I've called in sick to stay home and process the grief of finding out what my story was and how it had impacted me. Yay! Erin, I love you. Take your vacation time, say that you're going to Paris, and actually just go sit at the Motel 6 and do this stuff. Write, paint, sit in silence. You will learn so much about yourself. Okay. Pretend you're traveling on a business trip when secretly you're retreating in order to paint, write poetry. Okay, yeah. Conceal it from your family and friends, whatever it is you're up to. Slip away from everyone else at the party and go off to dance alone with ideas in the dark. Wake yourself up in the middle of the night in order to be alone with your inspiration while nobody is watching. You don't need that sleep right now. You can give it up. What else are you willing to give up in order to be alone with your beloved? What are you willing to stop doing in order to live your dream? Are you willing to feel the discomfort of having to say no? Are you willing to disappoint the people that you've allowed to become dependent on you? Because it's going to hurt and it's going to be uncomfortable. Are you willing to go through that discomfort? Are you willing to turn down a party invitation? Are you willing to skip your cousin's wedding? Because that's the kind of commitment it takes. Are you willing to close the refrigerator door when you're about to stuff your face again rather than feel? Are you willing to do that? What are you willing to stop doing? What are you willing to give up in order to live your authentic life? Your totally passionate, authentic life. I'll leave you with that. Because I'm done. That's all I have. That's probably all I have for the whole day. And my daughter's calling, so I probably better check in with her. It dropped because a call was coming in. No, when a call comes in, sometimes the screen gets glitchy and the volume will go away. It messes with the reception. So, big kisses to you. I love you so much. I'm done with you. Go do your work. Go do your work. Have a wonderful day. And please know that I love you so much that I'm willing to get up at 6 a.m, gag, and figure out ways to make this stuff make sense to you. That's how much I love you. I love you so much that I'll turn a camera on with bed head and no makeup and a not so great shirt on. Have a wonderful day. Bye. Good.